We'll call the meeting to order, and it started with, do we need to approve the agenda? I entertain a motion that we approve the agenda.
Make a motion.
Motion made, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's proceed. Review the City of Hazelhurst records for retention and destruction, and our clerk is going to handle that for us.
When I went to clerk's training in February, one of the things that I learned through banking in all those years, that we also need to have what we call a records and retention schedule. And through the clerk's training, they told me that under the Georgia Archives, we need to adopt what the state has out there. And before you actually have the retention schedules for the local government paper and electronic records. And as you thumb through that, you will notice that the different departments are listed up under there. This gives you the retention schedule, whether it's a short-term or whether it's a long-term retention.
What page are you on now?
It's this schedule right here, Mayor. It's that right there.
What page are you on there with what you, oh, I thought you had,
no.
Okay, go ahead.
As you click through it, you're going to see public safety, medical examiners, elections, education, courts, record management, their titles, and then their subtitles. One of the things that I have been looking for in the 6 months that I've been here is when we need to destroy stuff. If you flip through there and you're looking, you're going to see short-term, long-term, and permanent records. We need to look at adopting this and having it for our city. That way there are records that we can destroy, but you can't just load it back up a pickup truck or a dump truck to the building and take it to the landfill or take it to the recycling, or you can dig a hole and burn it in it and then cover it up. There has got to be a certificate of destruction. It's got to be signed off by me, as well as the person that is destroying these records, and we have to keep these permanently. I would like for you to look at it, review it, any questions that you may have, ask me, and let's look at approving this next week. You now cannot print this permanent record off. They removed it from the website. You can only go on the website for any updates. I was advised by the lawyer that taught this class to go ahead and print this book off, have it in your hands, but also refer back to the computer for updates on a periodical basis. Every department head will have this book in their department for them to review. If they're uncomfortable about something, you as the council members will have a copy of this, as well as the mayor. It will be put in a book form for you also. But I feel like it's something that the city of Hazelhurst and our departments need to look at and get approved. And then we are covering ourselves on, beginning now, on down the road, if we have destroyed something and they say, call for an open records request. Any questions?
What we're gonna do is just vote to adopt this as the state mandates it in here.
Yes, sir.
As it applies to
Yes,
what
sir.
records we have within the city, correct?
Right. And I actually sent all of this to our attorney, and unfortunately, he had a conflict of interest tonight. But he says anything that is up under the state, he says we can't go wrong. If they're governed by it, then the local and municipalities are governed by it also.
Anybody else? Any questions?
I saw that it was Georgia Division of Archives and History and Brian Kemp's office. I can't see why we can't adopt it.
And then try to live by it. I think that's fine doing it. We'll have to create and generate our own. When you've got a good example to go by, and I think it should cover everything, and we'll try to live by those rules. I think if everybody would study that and be ready, I think it'd just be a matter of formality to adopt this next week. Okay, let's move on to item 2, curb stoning, and we've got Mr. Eddingfield here to talk to us a little about this. Mr. Eddingfield, if you would come up here to the thing, and she'll get a recording of the conversation and all from that.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody here knows me pretty well. Some of you do and some of you don't, but I'm gonna tell you my name's Eddie Edenfield. I've lived in Hazelhurst since 1979. I've been in the car business for the past 30 years. I've been in the car business for the past 18 at my present location. But we have a serious problem going on in Jeff Davidson County and Hazelhurst about people setting vehicles up at public locations for sale. This is illegal in the state of Georgia. The law was passed in 2007 for any vehicle that's not owned by the property owner to be set in a public place for sale or offered for sale or advertised for sale. I have the laws here and I presented the judge with copies of the laws. If anybody would like to take a look at them and read over them. Whenever me and Rhonda or her daddy or her brother or anybody sells a car, we're required in the state of Georgia to provide a UPAC, an OPAC security statement. That means we're supposed to go on the website, on the OPAC security website, and make sure that whoever's buying this vehicle is not on the terrorist watch list. If they're on the terrorist watch list, we're not required to sell them an automobile. We're not, legally, I cannot sell them an automobile. I'm sure that's not being done in these public sales. Terrorists, people that's not interested or don't have no driver's license or no insurance or not able to get insurance, buy cars from these people. Because I had my 15-year-old son call and asked the man what he'd take for one of the cars. And the man never asked him how old he was, asked him if he had a driver's license or anything. He was ready to sell him the car, and I had my grandson asked him if he had the title. He said, yeah, but it's in a buddy of mine's name, and he's already signed off on it, so we're just going to sign it off to you. What's happening is the taxes is supposed to be paid each time a vehicle is transferred from one person to the next has been skipped. They're buying these cars from individuals, they're taking them up there and refurbishing them, putting a new paint job or a good cleanup on them, and taking them up there and resell them and not putting them in their name. They're transferring it right from the person they bought it from, right straight to the next person that's going to buy it. Sometimes me and one of ours both have had titles come to us that went from one person to the next, all the way down to the end of the title. They come to us complaining, I can't get a tag for this car. No, you can't get a tag for this car. You didn't fill the back of the title. You got to go to the very first person. The taxes got to be paid right down to the very end. They don't understand that. They think just because they signed it over from one person to the next, it's their car. Second problem, this vehicle right here has been pulled over three times, by 2 record services. It's been released back to this individual. I got it the 3rd time, and it's not going anywhere anymore because it's got an insurance paper on it, but the insurance is not worth the paper it's written on because the car has a Missouri junk title. A Missouri junk title means there's never going to be no insurance, there's never going to be no tag, there's never going to be no way that people should honestly drive this vehicle on the road. But when it got to my place, it got stopped, and it's not going back on the road because the man can't afford to pay the record bill on it. Third thing, we have to provide insurance for people to test drive our cars. And each vehicle that we sell has the ID number matched to the registration of the owner. The ID number matches the insurance with the owner's name in it. And registration also reflects where that vehicle was purchased from. Now, if you run an ID number on a car, or if any of the law enforcement runs an ID number on a car, and it comes back, it don't have a valid insurance, it don't have a valid registration, then that car is illegal on the road in Jeff Davis County. I don't care if they've got 10 insurance cards that says they're current. I'll go on the house and type you up one of these if you want one. Give you a current insurance card from now on if you want one. You can get them off the internet. And just because they have an insurance, a valid insurance card riding around with them in the car, don't mean that car is able or capable of even being insured. the sale of the motor vehicles that's been going on now in Jeff Davis County is increasing. There've been more people adding vehicles to the private property, to the public property. Well, Mr. Ray Wooten owns property up here, and he had about 6 or 7 of his cars sitting up there for sale that didn't belong to him. Right across the street from Hardy's, there's about 6 or 8 vehicles sitting up there for sale. I'm sure that probably 75% of them not even entitled to the people that's trying to sell them. I can't prove that, but that's just me. That's just my feelings on it. And if somebody goes up there to buy them, they can buy them with no license, they can buy them with no insurance, and whoever sells it to them is gonna hand them the title and say, good luck, thank you, see you, bye. And whether they go to the tag office and get it titled, we're not required to do that. We can't give a cut. If Steve comes to my house and buys a car, I cannot give him the title. Sorry, Steve. I got to take it to the courthouse. And then the only way you're gonna get your title is to go up there and show insurance and buy you a tag. And then you cover it. But you go up here to these car lots that's being set up uptown, and you buy a car, the man hands you the title, or whether you got license or whether you don't, he don't care. He's got your money. If it tears all to pieces before it gets home, I'm sorry about your luck, that's your car too. One little girl, I got her truck sitting in the junkyard right now. She bought her a little Nissan truck from off the side of the road. It's one of these little makeshift car lots. Paid $900 for it, it didn't even make it home. Now it's in my junkyard, I give her $100 for it. So. But I mean, I would like for the city of Hazlehurst and law enforcement to step in. It's, by law, it's a $1,000 fine per car. And if somebody, I'm not necessarily saying let's go up there and jack them all up for a $1,000 fine, but they need to be warned and need to have some type of information and be, some type of law enforcement needs to let them know that they are breaking the law, because I'm sure some of them don't know it. I bet Eric don't even know it, but he's breaking the law too. And that's all I have.
Let me just say that Eddie, I agree with you 100%, and you have an ally in me. And if you'll note, actually, Ray didn't put those cars out there. He sold that lot to Mr. Pham, P-H-A-M, and those cars are all gone now, thanks to Chief Land.
They at the farm auction. I don't know if they'll be back after Thursday or
I
not.
don't know, but Chief Land, would you just explain what all you've done? And not only that, but the other people, you know, we discussed that we had some people putting cars out there that really shouldn't, and just explain all that.
We do have a problem with curb stoning, and we have some stickers, and we go and put these stick-on decals on the car, notifying the person that it's illegal. Basically, you can sell so many cars on your own property, 3 per year on your own property.
That's right.
That's right.
These that are in parking lots aren't supposed to be there. Anyway, Mr. Purser came and talked to me about the issue on Jarman Street. And I came back to Mr. Harold, and we had signed off on which is the next item on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, on a business license on the one on Jarman. And the people had told Mr. Harold that they had a Georgia automobile dealer's license, and apparently they did not. They lied to it. So I'm gonna have a recommendation when we get to that item. But anyway, they're no longer have a car lot over there. They know they can't. As far as these others, I've contacted the Georgia Automobile Dealers Association. They're actually sending a representative to Hazlehurst, and he's gonna give a little short briefing to my folks, and we're gonna write a little memo and try to make a new effort to do better on this, to try to help all the local car dealers. Y'all pay taxes, y'all have your Georgia Automobile Dealer's license, and that's the correct way to do it. So
That's
we're
right.
gonna try to work on the problem to assist all the other local dealers here.
We just want everybody on the same playing field.
I agree.
And if somebody comes to you and says they have a dealer's license, if they don't have an office and a sign, they don't have a dealer's
Well,
license.
they have to have
Because
an
you have to take a
office, and they
picture
have
of
to
that.
have a bathroom, and there's a whole litany of things they have to do to meet the requirement.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
I mean, we really
And
are.
I know Rhonda does, and I know her daddy does, because her daddy said he's fought this for a long time, back whenever Winn-Dixie was here, and they was all parking them in the Winn-Dixie parking lot.
We put a bunch of stickers on the car.
I knew, because I went to Miss Creech at that time and told her about it, and she she said that she'd get something done about it, and we ain't seen no more cars up there at Winn-Dixie, and that's a great thing. I'd like to see the same thing handled at Hardee's. That property belongs. We looked this property up, and I say Ray Wooten on that property, because whenever I come up here and we done started all this, that he, at that time, he was listed as the owner of that property. And Steve Morris was listed as the owner of the property across the street from Hardee's. Am I not correct on that?
Correct. As of now.
And I don't, Steve Morris is a lawyer in Baxter. Is last I recall. I don't know if he's, does law over here too, but I mean, wherever you lawyers do, that's what he deals with. He,
That's not Steve Morris, that's Keith Morris in Baxter.
Keith Morris.
Keith,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
Keith.
was it Keith Morris?
Keith, yes.
Keith Morris. Anyway, it wasn't Greg, the one that's running for representative, because he wouldn't do that, but, Keith, I'm sure is not aware of the law. If he's made aware of it, then I'm sure he'd be in good shape on that. You still running for sheriff?
Mr. Smith, thank you for your presentation.
Eddie, let me tell you this, and Steve, you correct me if I'm wrong. We have the authority to enforce our own regulations.
Right.
But we don't have the authority to enforce the state regulations, I think. that-
We do.
but-
We can.
Oh, we do? All
Yeah.
right.
I thought it was
But I'm saying Steve works with the state folks to try to keep it up, and I think we're working on it.
God knows I appreciate it, you know, because it costs us a lot of money to be in, everybody says, oh, you ain't got nothing in being a coordinator, just go sign up there and it's a lot of money to be in the car business. It costs us a chunk of money. It costs me as much to be in the record business as it does to be in the car business, because my insurance on my record is $5,000 a year and going up. But then you got $80,000 truck you got to buy to keep in regulation with all the state regulations, but then that's beside the point. I just want, if somebody wants to sell cars up there across the street from Hardee's, well, then fine, put your office and a sign up there and says, well, sell us, not out of it. I'd have no problem with that. But get on the same playing field that all the rest of us have to get on to be able to do this business. Because I want to remain in the car business, and I don't want to see people get hurt by going up there and buying something that's mechanically not fit to even go down the road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Smith.
appreciate y'all.
I met Mr. Edenfield.
Thank you, Hugh.
Thank you.
All right, I think that, I don't know, we'll have to continue to check and see. I noticed that the next item, well, let's get into it, and then I'll go ahead with what I was about to say. Let's talk about the next tip from auto city application. Who's handling that?
Mr. Mayor,
I think it's
what I'd like to do is recommend,
Titan is what it's supposed to be. I know it says Tipton, but it's Titan, right?
correct,
Right.
I like to
Let's hold-
recommend,
Excuse me just a minute. Y'all want to correct that on your paper? Spell it correctly, Tommy.
If you look at this occupational,
It's
this,
on that sheet.
yeah, it's listed as Titan, T-I-T-A-N.
Okay, yeah, T-I-T-A. All right, good. All right. Go ahead now, Steve.
what I like to do is recommend at the next city council meeting that the council move to revoke this business license. They were not truthful in the process and didn't produce the proper documents that they should have. And let's just revoke their license, and that way it'll solve that issue altogether.
All right, so that's what I was trying to get into a minute ago. And then this is probably where you can help inform us a little bit. When someone applies for a business license to sell automobiles, then he should already have a state license to sell.
Absolutely.
He
Yes,
should
sir.
have a state license at that time.
That's right.
And we can ask for it, and it's got a number, I'm sure he's got a license number, and then we can verify it with the Secretary of State that he's a current license holder. Then if he's a current license holder, then we issue the local business license.
And you can go online and check any dealer's license, you can check my dealer's license, you can check Rhonda's or anybody's dealer's license online, and it'll tell you whether that license is current or not.
Yeah, just like mine.
That's
I would-
correct.
I would-
I'm gonna say, like, you go and check the validity of any license at any time. If
That's right.
anything is- yeah.
By the way, I went online and I couldn't find him.
There's not.
So that's right, he's
There's
not on there. Yeah, I've already done that, he's not on there.
Okay, then I think that I can say on behalf of the council with what we said here, that apparently we made a mistake by taking his word for this when we issued the license. We'll be more careful, and of course Charles and the rest of the staff that handles this will be more careful about that. But now we've become more educated about it and know more about it, and we'll try to do a better job. And thank you for calling it to our
Thank you.
attention.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all very much for having me here and hearing. I don't mean to be a whiner and gripe and complain, but I'm just like everybody else. If I started a newspaper, Mr. Thomas gonna make sure I'm straight up.
Okay.
You're not the only one that whines about it.
Okay, item 4, gentlemen, let's move on to it. Madam Clerk, we've got that in here somewhere.
Yes, sir. This was sent to me by Hofstadter and Associates. This is basically the site audit. It actually begins with when the project began on what we call the 8th Street projects. And with us having the new mayor in, as well as a new council member, I felt like they needed the whole update from the beginning until the recent review of the project. So this is basically for informational purposes and for you to go out there and look at it and see what's happening with the project.
Let me say this, I've been on the council for 6 years, and we've had several CDBG projects that Hofstadter and Associates has handled. And this is the first time I've seen something like this, and I feel like that they do it regularly.
They do.
And I appreciate you sharing it with us, I really do.
You're welcome.
Russ has done that before. You know,
Yeah, I
he used to be with DOT and all, and Carl hired him, you know.
So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right, any further questions about the audit, or rest is, what it is a periodic? I don't know how many times during the project he does this, but he does it more than one time.
And like I said,
It's an ongoing process.
I'm in the boat with Tommy. This is the first one I've seen
Yeah.
in the last 4 years. We had 2 projects completed. So it is, I'm glad we got it.
All right, anything else relative to that? Okay, the next item is Beasley's, that water, or big water line going out to Beasley's. Carl has sent a notification that the project is ready, except for the permit under the railroad. And I've been talking to Carl, Glenn and I have been looking at this a little bit, and I've asked Carl to explain it to me. Of course, we're not gonna approve it till next week anyway, but what I know about this, I don't, and Carl doesn't like it either. Everybody's familiar with this project, all of y'all?
I'm familiar with the project, but I don't know what he doesn't like.
Well, when they got into, as I understand it, and this is subject to verification as well, that's the reason I asked Carl to come talk to me. Because of the tremendous fire they had out at the Thompson's Hardwood, the insurance company has asked them to have available a more complete and a bigger pressure and a water supply to cover hazards. Well, they've already got an 8-inch line out there, but it's not enough volume. Well, this line that's going out there now, the one that goes out on 221, up Main Highway and back in that direction. This one's going down Yon Road and coming in from the other side where the new building is over there. All right, this line is hooked back uptown to the same 6-inch line. Now here's a 6-inch line feeding an 8-inch line that goes out 221 to the mill. They've come back up and hooking another 8-inch line and go down the road from the same 6. And what it amounts to is they're not getting any more water just running 2 lines out there. He says when he hooks them together, it makes available a little bit more volume by
instantaneous for a short period.
for a short period, but overall, the supply of water for both 8-inch lines is coming from a 6-inch line, and it doesn't make any sense, and Carl agrees with that. But it appears that the situation that would really need to be done was gonna cost too much money, and he was told to back off and do this, maybe this would satisfy him. But now Glenn and I have looked at it, and it's something that, in fact, let's get into it. Everybody knows where the old Gill Street water tank is that we no longer use. From the new water tank out on the Baxley Highway to that tank, to that area, is a 12-inch water line stubbed off there. With that
But, I'm sorry, back up again, from where to where?
from the well out by, the new pellet plant out there on the Baxter
Okay,
Highway,
okay.
that new tank out
I
there,
got you.
and well,
Okay,
there's a 12-inch line run up there to Gill Street
okay,
and stubbed
I
out.
got you.
If we could hook onto the line there and go to Beasley, we'd be hooking onto a 12-inch line that would supply adequate water. And I talked to Carl, if we would change the route, and I'm for restricting government services inside the city limits. I think if people want city services, they should extend the city limits, and of course, I've been on that page for years and years, as all of you will know. But there's another route that we've looked at, that if he would hook on there, not only would he have a supply of water out there, and he wouldn't carry a 12-inch line all the way out there, you could still hook onto an 8-inch, you'd have a source back to the 12-inch. You could route it another way and probably pick up, we're guessing, about 75 water customers that's not available to the other line. There's only one house from where the old 8-inch line turns and goes to where this was going. There's only one or maybe two houses that could possibly, and they're not interested, water's not sufficient for that. You could reroute this and put 75 people on water, plus, that's not so important, they might not want, but you could put fire protection out there. You could put fire hydrants along the way, and if the people looked and saw, and this here again is in the county, now this is not the city of Hazelhurst, and we represent the city, remember that. But if you rerouted it, it would cost a little more, maybe not quite twice as much to do it. But you could pick up several customers. I'm not sure the number 75 is accurate, it may be more than that. In fact, you pick up all of Lake Alhead, and there's a lot of people out there, plus water service, and plus fire protection. And that's something Charles could look at and help us with, because he handles fire protection both for the city and the county. We can look and see, well, that many residents, I don't know, I just said, Carl, this thing's probably gone too far. It's, this is the plan that's been adapted, that this will be sufficient. The grant money, what type of grant is it, EP?
Yes, I did.
EIP,
Yes, sir.
EIP.
Yeah.
EIP, grant money's there, everything, we've got everything except the right of way to bore under that railroad track out there. It may be too late to look at this, but, we're not accomplishing what was intended, and it's costing a good bit of money, and I don't know, I just wanted him to explain it to me, and he's pretty much explained it, but I don't know that we can stop it at this stage. This is a planning session, so.
Right.
That number of people or number of customers you're talking about, that includes the Lake Alhead?
Yeah, because we'd go, come down the road and come into the plant there from the backside, yes.
And I have a daughter that lives out in Lake Alhead, and I'd love for her to be on city water, but
And
they've got
fire
a
protection.
private, and fire protection, but they have a private
Well,
well, and we need to move cautious.
oh, I'm not saying do that, I'm saying this is, just, I'm asking Carl to look, and if he himself would like for it to be a more serviceable thing. So it's he's gone
So
to,
Carl's gonna sign off on it.
oh,
before we-
certainly,
okay.
before we make any decision on it. The thing that I'm saying is that I wanted to ask to hold off on going on it till we got this, but I think from what so far, I think we may be too far gone to change the plan.
Okay.
But it should have been done sort of this way, I think, and we picked up a lot more customers. It had not only water, but fire protection. And so at any rate, whatever that's worth.
In addition to what the mayor is saying, I received, if you look at that email that I put in your package today, Hayes Hofstadter, and I've already given the mayor.
Is that
his copy.
Chad? Is that Chad?
This is
No, that's
his
his
brother.
Brother?
This is the additional information that you need on that. The mayor's got his, Councilman Griffin's got his, and Councilman Bloodworth. You need to look at this. The mayor is already looking at it, because there's additional information that's in regards to this email. before next week's session. And I did not receive this until 3 o'clock today. I did forward this information on to the city attorney. Because if you read from Hayes, Hofstadter has already filled out the paperwork, but they need your certificate of general liability filled out and 2 checks.
Now, is this money they're talking about for the grants? I mean, for this money is coming out of the grant for this? Because it's fine, because I know we agreed to take and apply for the grant, but anything over the cost of the $500,000, you know what the grant was? Anything, because I know we agreed in council, anything over that cost was not a city expense at all now.
He had agreed to.
They agreed that anything over that, because if this isn't coming out of the grant, then we're not responsible for this.
That's right. Beasley, I recall that.
Yeah.
And is the grant money in hand? Is it where we can draw on it yet?
And see, that's the thing about it is it is apparently, the grant was approved and everything.
Right.
But I don't know if it's to the point where we could draw on it yet or not. That I don't know. We need to take and find that out. Sure, but I know the grant was approved and everything, but now anything, if this money is over and above and not coming out of the grant fund, that needs to be addressed with these grants.
I don't believe we have it because all this money is handled in separate accounts. You've got a separate account for every one.
Right. I mean, there's no money in the EIP
All right, so
account at all.
It's approved, but it's not released.
All right.
There won't be any money till the bid process and all
Until the
that's
bid process is done.
Until the project started, there won't be any money available.
Okay, but we need to make sure about this here, that this is money coming out, that will be coming out of that grant before we take and do anything. And then
But
it's
normally those checks are written on a special account for that particular grant.
Right.
I mean, when you look at the first page, the first page of the actual,
Well, Carl's coming to talk to us. We'll have him to get with him.
When's he coming?
He told me to see me sometime in the before next week's meeting.
Okay.
But,
we're talking about over $12,000 when you first look at those pages.
well, until the money's in, until you open the account for this project, put the money in it. If the rest of the council agrees, we won't be writing any check.
I agree.
I'm in agreement with that, yes.
All right. Let's see now, lift station.
Number 6.
All right, lift station alarm panels. Y'all, I took the initiative the other day, as you well know. We had a disaster and got the EPA environmental folks on us about another sewer spill down at Clovis Place. And the lift station has been off for a good while, and I'm somewhat familiar with my previous tenure in trying to monitor when those lift stations go down, what a headache and a problem it causes. And we need to, at least on our major ones that can cause such a disaster, we need to install a system so that if the current goes off, E911, it signals them that they can call Bland or me or whoever's on call and say, look, your power's off on lift station 2. And if the power's still on and for some reason the level of the station gets up, that the sewer's beginning to back up, that there's a level alarm and then says the current is still on the station, but the level of the waste in the station is at an extreme level. So for $2,500 per station, they will set these situations up. And then with the, what is it, remote control phone, not remote control, but what's the term? Wireless communication is for each station is an additional $17. And Bland, I think Bland said he really needs it on 2 or 3 stations, and I think he needs it on more than that.
I'd like to eventually get it on all of them, to Curtis and Alma if
Well, that's critical, but also the one, Joe, we've got one out the Douglas Highway, 4 or 5 miles, of course, it doesn't cause any problem, but we never ride by out there, and that thing could be off 3 or 4 days and us not know it. I mean,
I looked at this earlier, this quote from Triple H or H3 Pump Controls and White Electra, is that on the same thing?
well, that's another, that's something else,
That's the next
we're getting to
one.
that.
Okay.
We'll get to that later.
Okay.
Now, this is through Tim Taylor, and this, yeah, Tim Taylor, this one right here, yeah, you got it right there.
I'm very much in favor of it. I think we need it bad.
Well, and I'll say this now, of course, as you know, I'm a frugal and conservative person when it comes to spending money. But we've got a little money in in our water and sewer account that we could afford to put 2 or 3 of these things on right now. And it, like Bland says, later if we can afford it, we can add 2 or 3 more. But I'd certainly like to pick out those that are most detrimental to us. And of course, to get ready, you got the information now, and we won't act on it tonight at all. But let's try to get to the point that by next Thursday when we meet, and we know how many of these stations we won't have installed. And he says, I believe he can put them if we let him know within a week or 10 days. He can. It's not a real complicated process really, and get us hooked up with E911 so that if these things go off, we won't have that problem anymore. And it might save us a fine from the environmental protection people. Any other thing about that?
I'm in agreement with it, whatever many Bland says we need to start off with, that's what we need to go as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe just get 3 or 4 years and just work the way to the work. By the time the alarm goes off at Curtis, and this time Mr. Griffin called me, took me about 15 minutes to get there, it didn't take me about 15 minutes up and got there to reset the pumps. But it was, the lift station's full.
And we don't know how long it's been off. Don't know how long it's been off, see. So we just don't need to do that. For $2,500 per station, we'd be foolish not to equip them with E911 down there 24 hours a day. And as soon as that thing goes off, to be notified on it. And Bland is now trying to have some of his employees ride by and checking it, and looking at them, and manually looking about it. I think it'll save labor too. And save labor. All right, anything else on that? I think we'll be ready next Thursday to Bland, let's you and I get together and you talk with John too, and y'all look and decide what station you want to put it on. And I'd like for you to get it on that one out on the Douglas Highway. That thing is so far removed that we can let it be gone. It'll be off 2 or 3 days and we won't even know it. The volume I know is not that high and you're not that worried about it, but I think it needs to be on that one. Okay. Camera system. Now the next, that's what you were asking about, Tommy. Where's
Camera system up there.
we've got all the cameras in here, and right now we only have audio. Ms. Bernice has audio, and that's the reason we got the little stand over here so that anybody speaking, if you speak out there, she can't pick it up on her audio at all, and that's the reason we've got the thing there. Also, we have availability now for video, but there was some work and there was some confusion between Markey and Keith Osborne, our ET man. He came here this afternoon, and he said he thought that some of this was not needed, that he thought we had ample storage, and that we didn't need that at all. And that if we would to give him until next Thursday, and he would tell us what we need to get this thing functioning so that we can have video and the audio, we can use it on our website, and just like other things that we want to do, we can use the video and the audio. Y'all, what are you thinking about getting that done?
I think it needs to be done because of this coming up, having the website and everything, we can be able to take it live stream the council meetings or any public hearings we have, we can live stream them on the webcam as well. And I believe it would be a benefit to the city towards to get this.
Good, thank you. All right, now, another thing, remember, that this, Keith said, Mr. Osborne said, that he thinks the bill will actually be less than this to get it in shape. Less than this. Okay, we'll try to be ready for that, next Thursday. All right. Water loss report, Opie, you wanna, since you put this report together, put it on my desk, why don't you talk to us about this a little bit?
We're not accounting this past year, 2015, we want to count it for 55% of our water funds. That's a 45% loss of revenue and accountability on the water. Don't do good on the audit, and if what y'all talking about with this new extension and picking up more customers, we want to exceed our groundwater permit and our water withdrawal permit limitations. We already at the borderline of it now. And they will not give us any more with us having that high accountability.
Y'all, you've got this in your hand here.
I saw it, I'm upset about it.
Yeah, if you look at 211, this, I mean, of course, it's repetitive, I want to look at, but 211, that, we lost 42, on water bill, we billed, 167,136,500 gallons. We didn't bill and lost 119,697,500 gallons of water. Now that, in other words, we pumped water and lost 42% of what we pumped. Now that's sad. The next year we lost 40% of 212. 213, we lost 30%. And then 214, we lost 36% of the water we pumped. We're talking about hundreds of millions of gallons of water that's unaccounted for. And then the last year, lost 44%.
And I believe in 13, when it dropped down to the 30% and everything, that was when we went through and swapped out a boatload of meters and everything else, had a new upgrade with all the bad meters and stuff like that. That's when we actually started coming back around, and I don't know what happened since.
Well,
Blandor, there's that many leaks in our,
No, we
what's
got
going on?
all the housing authorities on flat rate bill, they pay a very small amount of water. There's 78 housing apartments that the tenants pay nothing. And they have car washes. It's every Friday, Saturday, people lined up in them washing cars, and that's the setup that I've disagreed with for a long time.
That can't account for all of it, though, can it?
Oh, no, we don't, flushing fire hydrants,
school.
Well, we actually said a rough count for a household on flat rate was 380,000 gallons a month.
and
Say that again.
We sat there and calculated it, 75 times flat rate of water bill, and it comes to 380,000 gallons a month. And that's at flat rate.
then you got, of course, all the city parks, all the flower beds in town. At old city hall, police department, none of that had water bill. We don't bill as over 1 million gallons a month goes to the treatment plant in the dog pound.
That's accounted for, though, if you account for that.
It's accounted for, but it's still part of the business.
It's not
and
paid for.
They just, when you figure it all up, it turns out to be a massive amount of water. And until we get the point, why are you gonna put meters on something that you're not gonna bill for? But now, we need to count the water.
EPD requires us to.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna require people.
I know this is like robbing Peter to pay Paul, but if we have to, what'd you say, Opie? Do we lose our license or lose our permit or?
Well, no, he's talking about extending out and adding more customers onto it.
No, I'm saying if we,
They wouldn't let us drill another well, Tommy, we'd have to find this wasted water first, before they would permit us to.
To extend, we got more water capability, we can pump more water.
We pump
So-
four times what we're pumping, but, we're not permitted to pump that much.
You gotta water.
so if we
We're right on
can,
the borderline.
if we can document the money that we're doing with the parks and doing with
Oh, yeah.
this, then we're okay.
I was under the impression that's what she was giving me. I didn't know that was actual bill order. That's what we went on our accountability report when she accounted for lost water lines from municipal buildings that
Okay.
wasn't charged.
Well, I feel a little better about it.
Rec buildings that wasn't charged. Now, if they all in there, I thought that's what she'd give me when she give me that.
And this is all this is metered, but not billed, that we're losing, is what you're seeing.
And everything in the city is not metered.
Say that again?
We don't have a meter on one of these parks where, or flower beds or anything.
I thought we were
I thought
wired to,
We are.
Well,
so we need to put
we
meters
need,
in there.
that needs to be done.
Any existing tap in any water system has to have a meter.
That's what
And
we
that's what the law, what the government calls for, or environmental people. Water regulation.
So it's the accountability, not the money itself, it's the accountability for gallons and everything.
correct.
So that's what we need to take in any,
Okay.
even if it's a county or city building, it still needs to be metered regardless of whether it's charged or not.
But there's a lot of
That's-
lost revenue out there too, though.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Another, well, while we're talking about this is another subject, but the treatment plant, the water that we're discharging and putting in the treatment plant, if you take a look at what our sewer charges of the water in there, how much is it? Twice as much water going through that treatment plant?
Sometimes.
Twice as much water going through that treatment plant as supposedly, and what it is, it's infiltration of stormwater, rainwater coming in there. And it's
You
just
can get a good
overlooked.
rain, you can go watch it go from that way.
Yeah, we've just got
Up to
infiltration of
1.8.
stormwater in that system, and it's overloading that treatment plant, something else.
Well, you know, we had a violation this past month, remember, we were talking about it today. And, it wasn't we was in violation, we had equal to or less than 2 on our perimeters. But the inflow water was so thinned out with rainwater that we didn't get our percentage removal. But we was at the lower end of our permitted limit. I mean, we couldn't get no lower, I mean, less than
Now,
2.
this project, Ward 1 is gonna help some.
Ward One's gonna help, they're working on one of the work sections right now, which is
Okay.
over Douglas, Denton,
Right,
Bronson, all that.
right.
We just got through with Whistling Pines and Bellevue Circle area was one of the oldest.
That was a bad one, wasn't it, Blaine? Because we had, and that swamp between that park and the Bellevue subdivision, when it rained, I mean, it just infiltrating that whole system, and all that's new now. That should have helped. When was that job completed?
It was completed, 13th.
Well, that may be your 30% came in right there.
Like I said,
No, that was.
That's wastewater.
That's what,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another.
But like I said, that's,
The
Yeah.
four,
We're working on it.
the four oldest sections, not counting downtown, and that would be a nightmare to redo. That thing by the First Baptist Church, 18 foot deep. We had a road collapse there, and I had, in the middle of the night, I had to get a track over where our backhoes wouldn't dig that deep. We had to get down and patch it, and about 3 o'clock in the morning. And
Well-
everything's down there that deep.
That leak that's there at Flash Foods that you talked to me about, we haven't never done anything about that either, have we? And, that's another thing, remind me when Carl gets here, if we want to borrow, he's got the X-ray machine, we need to look at that.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Have y'all used it before?
I've not used his, I have demoed it quite a few of them.
As I understand it now, if a machine that Carl's got, we can let him, he'll let us use it, I think. We can find out how low, deep that pipe is and X-ray it and find out what we got to do. Y'all, it's in the middle of 221. And, what did they tell us about fixing?
The cheap way is $296,000.
Tell us that,
The cheap way to repair that is $296, the other one's a little $400,000.
good Lord have mercy.
I said this, John, you hadn't heard this, but I said this before. 20 years ago, when the first time Mayor Spann stepped down for the mayor, he said he felt sorry for the future council members because of what they had to deal with deteriorating infrastructure, and we're dealing with it now.
Right.
That was 20 years ago.
You ought to see, sometimes, if you want to see how serious it is, the next time they have something down around the downtown area, they dig it up and you see what we're dealing, the condition of the pipes that we're dealing with, you'll just about cry.
I know.
You'll just about cry.
That main, the sewer and water main downtown was run out World War II when they had their.
I want to say this too, Glenn, and you and I talked about this. I think in these major industries, and I'm thinking primarily about Thompson's Hardwoods, which is now a part of business. When we've got these big 6, 8-inch water lines going out to an industry, when they hook onto us, right there, I know it's expensive, but I think Glenn told me that if you put a meter on an 8-inch, 6-inch line, the meter itself costs over $5,000 to put that size meter cut off there. But we need a meter, and we need to be reading at these 6 and 8-inch lines we've got out. We need to know what water's going through, and we don't know. And I think you can find more than you think of this loss.
Well, that was another thing we were just addressing today, is we've been noticing the plant, when we might be washing down or something, you'll see all of a sudden see a drop in the water pressure. And when I went out there, we was talking about it the other day, I went and looked around, they got fire hoses hooked up to fire hydrants all over the place. They use them to wash down with, and that's not metered.
Where?
The pieces,
Oh, the Beasons.
they got fire hoses hooked up to the fire hydrant, and they use them to wash down things out there.
Well, we got a tremendous problem. You see the report there, gentlemen, losing almost half of our water there somewhere. We got a lot of work to do. We can moan and cry over it all we want to. It's gonna take some action instead of some moaning and groaning.
Yep.
All right, let's go on, Chief Wasden, you're next. I'm sorry.
Before we go too far, next time you see that happen, give me a call.
Can I, which Beasley's did you go to?
The one out by, you out that way.
Okay. Those hydrants are inside the perimeter, are not hooked to our water system. They're hooked to our own pipe system.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah, they have their own pipe system.
I thought there was another
The
line.
only one that is on our system stops right there at the sorter. That's the last one that belongs to us. All them inside is theirs.
Okay.
Yeah, their
That's a
system.
good deal, I make them do it.
Yeah.
But it don't make me, we still got a lot.
Yeah, they have their own water system out there with a pump that they
Don't pump.
What size pump do they have, Charles?
It's a small pump. They pump from the ponds. That pumps up there to that.
Well, they don't have a well.
Well, they do have a well, but some of those are hooked to the pump that's down there at the ponds.
Okay, so they feed those fire hydrants through that, pump it down there.
Yes, sir.
The one outside, Beasley's right by, you got a highway now, it's coming off our water main.
It's the sorter. Where that sorter's at, that's ours. After that, all that inside there does not belong to us. That's why we never go in and check it, because it's not ours. I know they're in there, and they haven't been long to put a new well in that, inside their perimeter. I don't know what they've done with it, but I was out there when they had got through drilling it and seen it. I don't know what their intention was with it. I know they had it.
I know the old mill out here, Thompson Hardwood Mill on the Baxter Highway, when I was here before, they had left water running out there at that sawmill for I don't know how long, and they had a tremendous bill. And we wrote off a bunch of it, I don't remember.
We wrote off the sewage, not the
water. Yeah.
We did end up writing off
Basically
water
half
on
of
that one too.
Excuse me?
We ended up writing off water on that one too.
That was bad, it was,
About $17,000 worth.
Well, that's not what I remembered. I thought all they requested was the sewage.
but I don't remember the details of it, but I
He
knew
wrote
that.
us a letter, and I'm telling you,
I know we would automatically, but I'm the one who found the leak. We would automatically discounted that, and then brought it before council about the water bill too, and they gave a big break.
Can you, Bernice, if you get time in the next few days, can you look up, because I thought that the letter that he wrote,
Over by about $451. On garbage, we're had a little bit more this year than last. On trash, likewise, but this is just a comparison that you get to look at, so you sort of know what we're, how we're running and how we're living. Another thing, you see, there's new customers, 47, customers 8, and she says the number of customers billed is 2,480 customers. She said that you got 55 new meters in, and they have completely been installed, but they've been, must still not be installed, Land, you know?
There's not a lot left. We had, or have left, now, we just bought $8,000 worth of registers. And these $17,000 is going in next year's budget,
Additional,
additional registers and meters.
I noticed all these, are all our meters now 3/4 inch meters? We don't use any half inch anymore at all?
We don't use half inch at all.
At all, okay. All those are 3/4 inch, yeah.
Jeff, we talked about this one time before about our charges for garbage and trash, and you said that we're a whole lot lower than everybody else.
Well, we're gonna get into that in a
Well,
minute.
at some point, Tyler, let me just mention this. I did a lot of work in my yard this week, and I loaded up the front of my yard for them to come and pick up. And what I'm paying is a
I
shame.
think you get a bar, you know?
I'm just saying, I think that trash thing, I guarantee he filled up that thing with what I put out there and said,
They're all over town that way.
yeah, and
We
need to seriously in the future.
We're fixing to have a call meeting on the 25th. I think Dennis has already called y'all about it.
Okay.
Did she talk to you about it, the call meeting?
Not yet, I don't think.
You haven't?
25th, you did?
Well, at any rate, we've got a call meeting, because it was gonna require some time, and you know I don't like to go real over long meetings.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a special meeting with one item on the agenda, and it's gonna be just what you're talking about out there. And the rural water, man, what's his name?
Mr. Bill Powell.
Mr. Bill Powell's gonna be here to explain to us how we are inadequately, getting paid for our services and whatnot, and he'll have a plan here. So on the 25th, make a note and make sure that we're all here and alert, and we will get into that. Okay, if you turn over the back of that page I was just talking to you about, there's the water and sewer adjustments on the back of it. I entertain a motion that we approve the water and sewer adjustment.
We approve them tonight, or can we approve